In the room, but I'm going to let you hear it from at least one perspective, and we'll get started right away. Hi, everybody, and welcome to Black Spring with Autumn on your Saturday. I appreciate you so much for taking the time to come in. It is a Saturday, and we are going to get started. I just have maybe I'd say 1 to 2 liners, but it's going to be somewhat commentary, I think. Well, it might be a little bit commentary heavy. And I'm just curious about what your guys' thoughts are on some of these issues that we're going to get into. But we will be right back right after this. Our thank you to our sponsors, of course, and the viewers like yourself. All right, guys, and thank you so much for tuning in to this Saturday segment of Black Spring with Autumn. And as you can see, perhaps even the thumbnail included a little bit of an elephant in the room. And we'll say, for some people, it may be, they may consider it an elephant in the room. And, some people are just fine clucking right along. So either way, we'll get into it. And I'll thank you guys so much for tuning in. All right, thank you so much for tuning in. So this particular stream was sponsored by, of course, viewers like yourself, and of course our patrons. I want to thank you guys so much for all that you do to support the channel in these times. And for those of you that are also been able to hang around even during Black Spring Mobile, I really appreciate it. So what I want to talk about is what I consider this elephant has been in the room for a while. I mean, we've talked about hindsight being 2020. Well, some of this rhetoric, I think, has included some comments that have been made during this year. But I want to show you a video. And I do think that I've always supported the cause of liberty, and I will continue to do that. But I think when we learn better, it's kind of a general rule of thumb that they say, when you learn better, you do better. But some people, I'm not sure, if that's their mantra or if that's the way they operate. I mean, I think people are just comfortable. They want to hold on to things, and maybe they're holding on to crumbs. I don't know, but we'll see. I want to share a perspective here. Now, I've shared clips with you from these 2 young ladies before, but for one of the young ladies involved in this clip that I'm going to show you on today, her name is Bevelyn Beatty, or she's Bevelyn Williams now. And she was at the forefront of the actual painting over the BLM's art, road art if you will. Everything's art for those who, need to impose their, ideas on others. But she was at the front of that, as well as her friend, her friend, Edme. So I'm going to show you two clips of them. This is their address to the elephant in the room. And of course, I'd love to hear what you guys have to say on this. Or have you thought about this? Do you consider this an elephant in the room yourself? I think because you have these midterms, and of course you have the 2024 is starting to. We've got people that are coming out of the woodworks already, and some people that they just can't quite accept, that they're not entitled to a U.S. presidency. I just saying. Okay, so we're going to get started with that, and then we're also going to have a look at a liner that comes out of New York, which involves. It's going to come out of UPI.com, and that particular article and liner is going to deal with the New York City Council granting non-citizens right to vote in local elections. So, I'm just telling you guys, we are getting a real preview of what's to come. I have no doubt that this is kind of this is just a beginning. We haven't even cracked the surface. Hello to Sharhanda, the goddess. Thank you so much for tuning in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you over to the clip. There's two. I kind of want to prime you for this. Okay. So what's happening in one of these videos, Bevelyn Williams is calling Trump Towers. And she gets a response in reference to the face flags, and also in terms of the compulsory orders on the mocktails and the IDs associated with that implementation. So hopefully I can share this with you. She made this call. She made this call on a live. And some people, this proves nothing, but I'm going to share that with you. And of course, you guys can chime in, as I always encourage you to do. I like to give you guys, I give you the raw footage, or give you as much of a source as I can. And not to say that I am the objective source, but I'm going to share that with you. Hello, Derek C. Williams. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. And then the second clip, we're going to follow it up. We're going to have something from Edme, and she's going to be addressing some of her concerns involving the elephant in the room. And so by the time we're done, I hope everyone will be on the same. We'll be able to recognize what the elephant in the room. So combined, we're talking about 4.5 minutes roughly. So we're going to go with the first one, okay? All right, the first one involves Bevelyn calling one of the Trump Towers, and she's also asking about what's required. So I just want to give you a little bit of that. So at least hopefully I can get this off for you. Thank you guys so much. Derek C. Williams is here. He says he's in listening mode. I really appreciate it. You're not late. We're just getting cooking around here. So let me see if I can pull this off for you. I will tell you, here's the other thing I'm going to say. For anything I can't pull off here, whether it be for technical difficulties or censorship, I'll post those things over on Black Spring Now. And, we'll probably even chop it up a little bit. I'm going to do a test probably today, a mini test on the People's Pendulum. So that's a live stream. And also I'm going to put the link out here just in case anybody wants to jump on, because certainly as soon as this is done, as soon as I share these, if I'm successful, I will, you're open to come in, and we'll have that before we do the liner on the non-citizens voting. So, all right, guys, thank you so much. So let's have a stab at it. Let's see what happens. Thank you guys so much for tuning in on your Saturday. I know you could be anywhere on the planet, and you just decided to burn some minutes here. So I really appreciate that. So what we're going to do is here, I think this one is entitled Facts Over Feelings. So you'll be the arbiter of how factual you think this is and of course, all the nuance that goes with it. So hopefully I can pull this off for you. Let's see. All right. Be easy, be easy. So here we are. So, yes, this is what Trump Grill mandates mocktail cards. Stop with the excuses, she says. So here we are.
All right, guys, I'm calling the Trump Towers.
Good morning, Trump Grill. How may I help you?
Hi, how you doing? I'm calling to know, do I need a vaccine card for this grill? And I just want to confirm this is the one on Fifth Avenue.
Correct. This is Trump Tower on Fifth Avenue, and because of the New York mandate, we are asking for vaccination cards and IDs to prove identification.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye. All right,
Okay. Okay. So there's your piece number one. Okay. And so we're going to go ahead and follow it. I don't know if it's fair. Maybe I should play it one more time for anybody that's just now joining us. This is Bevelyn Beatty, which I would consider Bevelyn was a big activist when it came to the rhetoric behind BLM, what they stood for, what they actually stood for versus what they purportedly, what they put out, which, was a bunch of liberals and blue hair and all that stuff behind it and destroying communities nationwide. But this kind of a bit made me think, those people aren't doing any time. They didn't manage to do any time when there was actual damage. There was actual property damage and, no time for them. Okay. So just one more time, I'll play that one and then we'll go to Ed May, her friend who assists her with, some of these activities. So just one more time, and then we'll go to the part of Ed May. She will elaborate even more on this next clip. So hear it one more time for anybody that's just joining us.
Calling the Trump Towers.
Good morning, Trump Grill. How may I help you?
Hi, how you doing? I'm calling to know, do I need a vaccine card for this grill? And I just want to confirm this is the one on Fifth Avenue.
Correct. This is Trump Tower on Fifth Avenue, and because of the New York mandate, we are asking for vaccination cards and IDs to prove identification.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop that one. I'm going to go ahead and queue up the very next one. The very next one will be an elaboration on that, and also Ed May, her counterpart, will give you her her contention with where we are, and I don't want to spoil it, so I'm going to keep going here. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. So we're going to go to the second clip. And this is where you're going to get a little bit longer of a share here. So I'm going to make sure you have the full screen, and we're going to knock on wood here. See if we can keep the party going here. All right.
Yeah. All right.
Let me see that.
For the top, from the top, Ed May.
All right. So it looks like there's been a lot of comments as far as Trump not owning these hotels, which on paper can be technically true, because I do recall that when he got in office, he made sure that he signed up for a lot of the ownings that he had so that there would not be any conflict of interest. So on paper, it can be true, but here's my problem. We've seen someone like DeSantis, and we happen to be in Florida. And the first thing that we noticed when we arrived here is that the personnel of huge companies don't enforce masks on their employees. And we could tell, because even in Tennessee, where we as customers have the freedom to wear or not wear masks, employees still have to wear masks. Okay? Tennessee. When first thing I noticed is that, wait a minute, the staff, some have masks, some don't have masks. And I say, wow, this stuff is probably true after all, because we see the proof in people's everyday life. Mm-hmm. So what I was telling them, because we keep hearing, but Trump doesn't own the buildings, or Trump doesn't own this real estate. I said, okay, if Trump had had DeSantis's approach to this whole vaccine/mandate situation, meaning, yes, when DeSantis first started, he did say that it would be good for people to be vaccinated. But once he realized that this was being used to take away people's freedom, DeSantis started to just lash out and make sure that businesses would be reprimanded for forcing their employees to get a vaccine, to wear a mask. You understand? So if Trump had had that same approach, meaning which is a more neutral approach, but still defending freedom at the end of the day, not adding it as a please take the vaccine. I'm the man for the vaccine. I spearheaded the vaccine. I don't know what the Operation Warp Speed. I did all of that. But hey, you're still free. No. That's a carrot dangling at the end. It's taking you for a fool because he's selling a vaccine. And I'm saying this as someone that has really, really supported this man's policies. It's very disappointing for me to even have to say that today. Okay, we're not stupid, folks, supporters. There's a reason why you supported that man. You wanted to see righteousness in your nation. You love your nation. You want decent, law-abiding citizens to be regarded in this nation. That's why you did that. But please don't sell yourself short now. You got to recognize the enemy from whatever angle he shows up. And right now, I see a lot of his works in the MAGA movement. I'm sorry to say. So, folks, if Trump had the same approach as Governor DeSantis, when now I hear that, listen, he doesn't own these buildings in New York, I would have given it the benefit of the doubt. You know what? He did sign off of a lot of his ownings. Now he's not president anymore, so maybe something has changed. But I would have said, you know what? Maybe it's out of his jurisdiction. Maybe it's just some other people that's owning it and doing it. But guess what? What those buildings are doing, those businesses, Trump businesses are doing in New York, line up with Trump's position because he became a salesman for those vaccines.
That's it.
All right, so that is actually your segment number 2. And I'm sorry, I was mistaken. There's a segment number 3. So it's going to become much more, they're going to go a little bit more, they're going to develop this whole thing much more in depth. And before I do that, I will read Derek C. Williams's comment here. Thank you so much, Derek C. Williams, for all that you do. And Derek C. Williams says, I did a debate concerning NFL player Antonio Brown and fake mocktail cards. I said, and I maintain, if you get one and use it, I don't blame you. This planned emic is a fraud. Meet fraud with fraud. Okay. All right. So that's getting it in. That's very succinct and very powerful. Thank you so much, Derek C. Williams. I really appreciate it. So we're going to go to our last clip on this. And this is where Ed May, I think even Bevelin and even her husband are chiming in on this one. So here's the next one. I see what you're talking about. We're much more empowered when we are in control. Empowered is what I'm saying. When we are in control, and they don't like that. That's the knowledge is power, right? I think we can meet on the middle there. So okay, so here's going to be the final installment on this one, in which Bevelin is actually going to say, "Hey, look, this is my platform. If you don't like it, hit the road." Okay. So yeah, she's not beholden to a platform or followers or subscribers or to the status quo in this. And I admire her for this. So I'm going to stop talking without further ado. I'm going to let you hear it from her.
Say hi, everybody. Wait, I'm here. Say hi, babe.
Hi.
She doesn't trust me. Emma doesn't trust me on live no more. Did I get a bite? Oh my God, something bit me last night. Hi, y'all. So, Emma doesn't trust me anymore because I recorded her singing and put it on Facebook, and she was like, ah! But anyway, you guys, good morning. So, how you guys doing? I don't know how many of you have saw the post I just posted online talking about the mandates. So there's a sign up at the Trump Towers in New York. I believe it's the same. I don't know if it's the ones that you live by. I think it's the ones. Emma used to live by the Trump Towers in Columbus Circle. It's on Fifth Avenue. It's on Fifth Avenue. That's the one I threw paint on. Threw paint in front of because they did Black Lives Matter in front of there. So there's I guess in the restaurant in the Trump Towers, they're telling you that, due to New York mandates, you have to have the COVID-19 vaccine. So let me tell you something. A lot of the comments, I'm gonna tell you, the ratio of comments making excuses between those who are seeing things for what they are was about 95% to 5%. You have about 5% of individuals who are like, no, that's crazy. But then you have 95% of the individuals making excuses. Well, you know, it's New York and there's nothing he can do about it. Let me explain something to you. On my husband's page at Mr. Ricky Williams, there is a restaurant in Rocco's, okay, in Brooklyn, okay, who will not mandate the vaccine. And they even said on there, we was headed to get pizza in Bay Ridge, right? Mm-hmm. And we saw the company. Basically, this pizzeria was saying that if you even try to come into their restaurant and patronize anybody who doesn't have a mask on, they'll put you out. They said not only are they not going to mandate the vaccines, but if you come up in a restaurant with your patronizing bullcrap, you'll get put out. So this is a mom and pop that's standing. Trump, I don't care what y'all try to say. Some of y'all say, oh, he doesn't have power of his towers anymore. He sold his towers. You're lying. You're lying to yourself. You're like, because you're not lying to me. Bev's not buying it, and nobody else here is buying it. There is no excuse for the compliance of mandates of that vaccine, period, point blank. And Trump, of all people, should be standing, okay? The reality is, when I stood the way I stood for freedom. I stood for truth. I stood for Jesus because Black Lives Matter was pushing the narrative that was going to destroy this nation, and it was going to destroy Black people right along with it. Because while they want to defund police, Black folk were getting murdered in their own cities because guess what? There's still Black on Black crime that hasn't been addressed. On top of that, abortion out the wazoo with the Black community amongst other communities, right? But we take up a high chunk. We take up 36%. It was 40 now, right? The 40% of abortion, and we only, 12% of the nation right now, if that. But that was one situation, standing for Jesus. But now y'all want to make these excuses. And again, I'm not talking to the ones who stood. I don't even have to address you because you know what time it is. Y'all are solid. The ones, I want to give a shout out to the ones who know the truth and are willing to stand regardless of who the individual is. You cannot keep making a person your God. Okay, at some point you have to be an individual who stands on either right or wrong. I'm gonna tell you right now, MA is my best friend. If this chick start having sex outside of marriage, me and her gonna have problems. Okay, I don't know if I could do MA at that point because that's sin. Regardless of how close we are, that is not okay, and I'm gonna tell her it's not okay. And if she decides to fight me on it, I ain't gonna deal with her because it's not okay. Wrong is wrong. It's the same with my husband. So how do you guys make a justification for an individual and say, oh, you know, it's New York. It's New York. It's New York. Justify it in their own. Say that again, baby. Say that.
Because you justify it in your own life.
They compromise.
You compromise in your own life. That's what.
You know what? Right?
Compromise in your own life.
They compromise in their own life. So a man thinketh in his heart. So you know what? I never thought. That's right. You individuals that be making these excuses and you make cop-outs, it's because you cop out. You cop out. That's why. Oh, Ricky, you hit the nail on the head, Poppy. Y'all cop out. Y'all who say, oh, it's New York mandates, we gotta follow them. Y'all the cowards. And let me tell you something. Listen, if y'all think I care about this following, if y'all think I care about these people follow me, you are nuts. In a sense of, I don't live my life based off of my following. That don't pay the bills, no way. But Jesus is my audience. If you a coward like that to the point that you will continue to cop out, don't follow me. Because coward don't pump through my blood. I'm sorry, punk don't pump through Bevelin. That ain't my portion. I ain't no coward. So don't follow me. Go follow someone else who cops out. Why make a cop out on an individual who don't cop out? I don't understand. Right? Follow someone else. Follow people who cop out. Don't follow me and then expect me and then get mad at me when I call out a spade. Oh, well, why are you trying to come against Trump? I mean, what's your portion on this, girlfriend?
I think we're very desperate to get relief. And we don't see that. We don't need relief, we need change. And we can no longer afford to just use pacifiers or band-aids like Trump, unfortunately. He ran his course. I supported his policies. But he became a politician, or maybe he was one from the beginning, I don't know. But one thing for sure is a lot of inconsistencies, and we gotta be honest with ourselves. I mean, if he was running today, would we vote for him? Most likely. But I'm telling you right now, something has to change, and we can't stick, or we can't just be desperate to hold on to crumbs. And right now it's crumbs. I'm sorry. It's crumbs. It's crumbs. And how long you can't sustain on crumbs? Holding Trump is crumbs at this stage. And yes, we've supported him wholeheartedly. I will say I supported his presidency.
Wholeheartedly.
Wholeheartedly.
Not half-heartedly.
Wholeheartedly.
Wholeheartedly.
Wholeheartedly, because we saw for the first time someone that had the balls and the courage to say what's what, to say what's true, to say it like it is. But you know what? He doesn't do that anymore. He doesn't do that anymore. He became a politician. He got tied up. I don't know who paid him. Johnson & Johnson probably gave him a good chunk. I don't know what deals were made behind the scenes, but it's not the same. And we got to be honest with ourselves.
That's right.
We got to be honest. And if we called him out, if his base, I'm asking the base, okay, y'all are loyal to him and y'all will defend him. Can you please use the same effort to call him out and make him accountable? So when you see something like this in his towers, whether he's still an owner, not an owner, it doesn't matter. It's his name on it. The day they change the name on the tower, then you have an argument. Right now, it's his name on it. So whatever has his name on it, it's him. How about you use that same energy, go after him, and say, we demand accountability. How dare you push the vaccine? How dare you do this? We supported you. We took bullets for you. We're still in jail for you. Right now, the January 6 people are still in jail for this man. Why don't we ask for accountability? You know what we are? Especially if you're a Christian. You are the same as the black people being pimped by the Democrat Party.
That's right.
That's what you are. It has to change. That's why we don't see any change, even on our side. It's because we are too lazy and we are scared that, God forbid, what we believed in is about to betray us. So we're lying to ourselves. Hold this man accountable. Go after him. We're your base. We took bullets for you. Families, there's been divorces over this Trump nonsense. Marriages are broken down. Families are broken down because you thought you were standing for righteousness. And now the man that supposedly took the mantle to do it is flaking on us. How about we hold him accountable?
Ooh. 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 Auntie has spoken. Listen, you and your little fingers, go get a life, girlfriend. Get a life. Boy, you acting like a female right now. Listen, I'm going to tell you right now. Run for something. We are not running because we are too busy running a campaign, and we're trying to get a party up, and we're trying to put people in office. Right. Because guess what? We're 3 people. I want you guys to use your common sense for a second. We are 3 individuals. We need more people to run. We need individuals to get in office along with us that align with the views, not of us, but of God. Right. Of God. We need more people. You guys got to understand, this is even if I decide to get into office, or Edme decides to get into office, we're going to be one for a season to make a change. But there has to be a permanent change. There has to be solutions that are solid. We can't keep being Band-Aids. And even us would have been Band-Aids. You understand what I'm saying? We're all Band-Aids. This is sick. And you guys, if you don't take this personal, you don't care about your nation.
That's right.
Look, China don't compromise. Russia don't compromise.
No, never.
Compromise. China doesn't compromise, nor does Russia. They don't compromise at all. But Americans, we compromise. We compromise. So there has to be a change, because this is ridiculous. It's unacceptable. Unacceptable.
That's right.
So there has to be a change.
And we got to have enough faith to trust that God is the ultimate answer. He's the ultimate answer for our problem. It's Jesus. We got to have enough faith. We cannot rely on some flaky party like the Republican Party. We can't anymore. We can't. Please, please get off the titty of the Republican Party. They don't care about you. They're using you like the Democrats are using Christians. That is using black people. Get off the party. Get off. Trust God. You, my friend, if you're a believer in Christ, the greater one is on the inside of you. You stir him up and rise up. Take your authority spiritually and physically and go out there and make the change that needs to happen. The people of God need to bring change in this nation, not pseudo, fake Christians.
That's right. Can I say this? You want to know what's so crazy? We're not asking you to vote us in. We're not asking you to give us your money. We're asking you to step up and do it. We're not, most leaders, they don't really ask you to join them. They lord their leadership over you. This is the opposite. We're not wanting to lord our leadership over you. We're asking you to join us in leadership and take a position. Do you not understand what we're saying? We're not saying, oh, it's your fault. You didn't listen. You did wrong. We're not playing the blame game. This is not what we're doing. We are asking you, the individuals who have gotten abused just like us, to step up and join us in the fight. Run for office. That's why we told you guys, go to our website, kingdomconservativeparty.com, sign up, read the platform first, and run for office. And we are willing to help you. We're willing to financial. We're willing to stand against you. And let me tell you something about us. We're not against you. We're for you, against whoever comes against you. And let me tell you about us. We're loyal. We don't back down. We don't back down. If we say we're with you, and we're not gonna stop. Period. Point blank. This taking this country back is a team effort. It's not gonna just take one. This is a team effort. We're asking you to be a team and don't fold on your moral values. That's it. That's it. That's it. We want you not to fold. You guys decided to follow me because you saw someone who was bold and wouldn't fold. So now what I don't understand is how you get mad because I'm going to call the truth and I won't fold. But why bother following someone like that? Why would you think I would change? Why would you think? I'm not going to change. And at the same time, not only am I not going to change, the people around me, I'm going to ask you to change if you are folded. But if you're not, I'm not going to ask you to change. I'm going to ask you to stand. We have to stand our ground in this season more than we have ever done in any time in our life. Because right now, let me explain it to you. The Christians, not Christians by name, the what do you call them? Crinos? Not Crinos. Cresnos. Not Cresnos. Not Christians in name only, but the real Christians. The real Christians who truly believe in the word of God is absolute and stand on truth, we're the ones that's going to be cornered. Because guess what? A person who, and I'm not saying that other people of other religions haven't not folded, because I know a lot of Muslims who will not take that vaccine. Mad Muslims. Mad Muslims. I know the Chaldean family we went to visit in Michigan, they're not taking that vaccine. They're not doing it. So you have some people who just are not dumb. They see this one world order coming and they're not going to compromise, period. Right? At the same time, we're just simply asking you to stand. That's all we're asking you to do. We're asking you to stand, have a backbone and stand. Period, point blank. That's our heart. Stand. Stand. Okay? So at the end of the day, I'm going to say this. The Bible says cowards go to hell. Revelations 21:8. The Bible says that cowards go to hell. Cowards, people who refuse to stand, people who refuse to have faith. If you're a coward, you have no faith. You don't have faith, sweetie. If you're a coward and you justify wickedness, you might as well do it. You might as well do it. If you're justified, you might as well do it. You're a coward. You have no faith. People like that are going to be headed to hell. Because when it's time for them to say, when it's time for them to say Jesus or get your head cut off, I guarantee you're going to say, oh, Jesus, or say Jesus, get your head cut off, or deny him and live. Bet you're going to deny him. The ones who copping out right now are the ones who will deny him. I know that for a fact. I know that for a fact. I ain't new to this. I'm true to this. If you're willing to deny Jesus Christ right now, and you're willing to make excuses for the sake of a party, you're a coward. You're a coward. So with that being said, you choose and do what you want to do. But I'm going to say simply, make a choice. Make a choice. That's it. Make a choice. Period, point blank. So God bless y'all. I'm going to leave this live, but y'all make a choice. Stop being a coward. Okay?
All right. So there you had Bevelyn Beatty, aka Bevelyn. It's Bevelyn Williams now. So Bevelyn has decided to go after this in her own way. And there's many things, of course, that she has spoken on that I agree with. It's not just agree. It's just, these are simple. Some of those things are just artifacts. They're, artifacts of the heart. Some of them are. But I gotta say, I just think things are in such disarray, but you do have people that just want to hang on on fumes. Even if it's on fumes, they're going to hang on, and you're going to be attacked. But then who does that look like? It's crickets. We have a lot of people. I've talked around it. I've tried not to. I've been, I think I've got a bit of a nasty taste in my mouth, of course, when it comes to politics and the theater on the floor. So I've tried to stay away from that. But I think a lot of things that she said needs to be said. Relying on people and looking at one person to come riding in and saving us all, it's not going to happen. And I do think that there are a lot of inconsistencies. And I will say, I said all this to say this also. We've even heard from Biden on a couple of occasions. One occasion specifically, when we're talking about party, we'll go with party lines here just for a second. There is an instance in which I think when Biden was asked about the 2024 election earlier this year, I do believe it was March, and he was asked about running in 2024. He says, I don't even know if there's going to be a Republican Party. He said that himself. But when you think about it, this is the thing. We don't even get like a response back to the things. We're not even getting like, they say clap back. There's not even a clap back. They sow seeds of doubt and seeds of division all the time, but you don't even get a response. Like, say, nobody ever comes out and say, hey, what is he talking about? How are you undermining? You've been in government and service all these years, but all you ever do is undermine. There's no challenge. Even you can challenge your colleague wherever they are, or for somebody who's been in office as long as he has, you should be able to respectfully say, hey, what are we doing here? What are we talking about here? But it's just crickets. And I can see the unanswered questions, the silence. And I'm actually kind of surprised. But there again, I'm not, because I think people are more concerned with movements and empty calories rather than, well, what about the liberty? Everybody believed in liberty, right? But we're willing to be quiet and not call anybody out when they're not standing for it, when they're not upholding, when they're not defending, when their values don't reflect their behavior. This is what she's talking about, whether you're religious or not, or whether you consider yourself patriotic or not. She's talking about the crap that you say, and when the crap that somebody says or gets up on a platform, a pulpit, and says, and it doesn't reflect what they do or what you see, she says, I'm going to call them out. And I don't blame her. But I don't live on followers myself. I don't. But I also think that there's danger in pledging allegiance to anything. I'm not a pledger. I'm not. I think that the hearts of man, it's wicked. Human nature is always going to be there. No man is perfect. That's what I do know. So I think that's why you have to be careful with what you support and pledging allegiance. And you have to be that. But at this point, I'm just saying, we're just getting, I'm not sure. It just seems like we've just kind of turned into, as Ed Mays talked about, it's crumbs. It's everything's being undone. This next headline that I want to share with you shows that, these people are taking it upon themselves. It's like we're becoming balkanized. We're becoming broken. We're becoming, it depends on where you are. You could be in California and have one sense of freedom, and then you live on the other side, and it gets paler and paler the further you go one way or another. Why is it like that? The one thing I don't really care for is when people try to say, oh, God told me to do this, and God told me to support this candidate, or this God says this person's supposed to be there. I don't care for that. I think being of the world and I do think this political system is of the world. So I don't think those things are to be combined, because this is not, this is a temporary system. Yeah, it's a temporary system. So I would never want to find myself, dare I say, preaching or evangelizing in the same line, in the same sentence as I'm talking about politicians. I just wouldn't do it. I think that's, I think you're throwing more than caution to the wind. But I'm saying, to her point, I do agree that if somebody, this country is, to me, there's a lot of broken things right now. There's a lot of broken families. There's a lot of people that have lost their jobs. There are a lot of people that don't know what's going to happen to them based on, whether it's mandates or executive orders, whatever banner, that's being, whatever's being, whatever coercion or veiled. I consider it veiled coercion is what's going on right now. I think I read something about Boeing is another company that said that they are not going to be, they're joining federal contractors in dropping the mocktail mandates. So, but I just think it's dangerous to be mixing, dare I say, to saying that anybody is elevated or anointed to be in something when it comes to politics, because I just don't believe that's true. I don't. And I would never be one of these says, oh, well, God chose that person and he chose that person. You will never hear that from me. And I do mean never. I'm not being hyperbolic. I said never. You will never hear me say never. But, I just think, sometimes I think people, rather than to be wrong, they just rather keep things going on, keep it up, in the meantime, we're all settling for, not we're all, there's a faction of us that are settling for surrogate movements and mean girl slam book kind of culture that we've created it's coping mechanisms. It's coping mechanisms, but it doesn't really do anything for me. Like I said, it's empty calories. It's empty. No matter how much fruit juice or how fruity it is, or how, no matter how much 100% juice you put in it, it's still an empty calorie. And you didn't get very much out of it. You got very little nutritional value out of it. You don't get anything to sustain yourself. And see, to her point, at May's point, she's talking about sustainability. You can't sustain yourself on crumbs. You can't sustain yourself on trends or fads or even movements. You can't. You can't. And I agree. If you've turned it, if to me, it looks a little hype manish to me, but that was said back in August. And from what I'm understanding, you can even now, I think that's the only thing, you might hear right about now. But it was nice that they had the courage to say it. Some people, I think they'd rather cut off their arm or eat dirt than to call out truth or to say, hey, this is something's wrong here. Something feels a little bit off. But they won't call it out. So I'm going to read some comments here. We'll take it to our last liner and get us out of here on your Saturday. I really appreciate you guys. Thanks so much for coming in. I appreciate it. Let's see. I just want to make sure I'm not, I just want to make sure I'm not leaving anything out here. So yeah. All right. So we go with Derek C. Williams. Thank you so much, Derek C. Williams. I really appreciate it. He says, I'm agnostic, but I do believe there is a power in the universe. Now, what that is, the question, the question, at least for me. Thank you for sharing that, Derek C. Williams. And I've said on here, I'm not a minister or a theologian, or I didn't go to theology school. I didn't go to any of that. I had an upbringing in which I attended church. I did, and for the most part, things were pretty consistent. And, and I'm not even saying about my parents in their upbringings, which were much more strict and much more well-rooted in Christianity and principles and that kind of a bit. But I do think I've said this before, I do think that things are very fulfilling. And dare I say revelations or whatever, find it somewhere else and find it in another book and let me know. I mean, there is a movie, by the way, there's a movie called 1981 and it's on YouTube. I don't know, maybe one day, I don't know if you have some time, I can show some of it, but it does talk about, the overarching, powers it be. And they know exactly what they're doing. And this came out in 1981. And, it's not really narrated. It's just kind of it's pretty direct. And then there's some questioning as it goes on. But there's definitely a movie called 1981, not 1984, 1981. And it talks about economics, talks about, what can be, it talks about, upgrading the brain and permanently embedding things for convenience and the amount of control, where the control is. And yeah, so let's go here. And I'm going to keep going back to comments because Derek C. Williams has another one, as well as Omaromeo Vakran. Says, even the Bible says to judge anybody with discernment, who says, quote, I am a prophet and God says. Okay. And before that, I am not religious. I don't believe in Jesus, etc. But I understand and agree with the principles of her video. Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate it. And Derek C. Williams says, it's hilarious how so-called, quote, believers, end quote, have folded and took the yeah, Derek C. Williams. I think I think they were doing it because of the person that was under the auspices of this whole thing. I find that to be I find that cultish. Like, I mean, I'm just saying, I've heard some people on the MAGA side say, oh, well, I did it because Trump said to do it and I did it. And I was just thinking, wow, is that all it takes? Just saying. I mean, I'm just saying, whenever, and see, I remember a particular, live stream that I was on, and somebody says, oh, people said they wanted a mocktail. They wanted a mocktail. I just say, well, what resolution or what proposition did we vote on? Does anybody remember voting on a mocktail for the country? I mean, that's not something that a president normally takes on. Like, he doesn't normally, it's like you're the ultimate bureaucrat. You're doing very much similar to what Dr. Frankenstein does. If you could make these decisions and determine how quickly it could come out, that's more of a medical decision, I would think. And it just seems like it got overridden by somebody without a medical background or a wherewithal to make those kinds of decisions. And I didn't vote for that. No proposition, no resolution. I didn't see that on any local elections or I didn't see that anywhere. If anybody has that somewhere where the American people actually asked for a mocktail for this situation, let me know. I'd love to hear about it. Okay. So let me scroll back. There's one other that you had. Hi, Maylin Romero. She says, God bless you. I'm glad I was able to catch you last few minutes of your live. I will be there. I'll be able to rewatch a dinner. I appreciate it. Cyber Toxin was here. And even Edme, she talked about the J6 situation. Yeah, this is crickets. Like I said, you could hear, you could hear a pin drop. You can hear it. And now I think the latest thing is what they're trying to implicate Charlie Kirk. It's like, my gosh. They're just really, they're going to start, they're just doing a mind dump now, right? I'm just saying. And yeah, to this point, I saw this. Derek C. Williams says the funniest thing is when Trump was in office, even Kamala Harris said she wouldn't. Yeah, I know. Isn't that funny? Isn't that funny? Isn't that ironic? I don't know. It's funny what likability or can make people do. Is that what it is, or hocus pocus, or I don't know, propaganda? I don't know what it is. How can people be? You know what I mean? It's kind of amazing. I'm just saying. And Derek says the breaking news that jab is still his, even though. See, that's what I'm saying, and nobody. And see, the thing is, nobody asking any questions. That's the other thing. You know, like prove all things, right? Or ask. Is there no why in anybody all of a sudden? You know, I don't know. I don't know. And here's back to Romeo Vicra. I'm just gonna start calling you Omicron. Well, maybe I better not call you that. It says my wife and I to expedite travel. I hear you. And here's the other thing. I'm not here to judge anyone. I think everybody should do what they need to do. But I do know that bodies are unique. Every single body, every body is different. I'm not talking about everybody as that one word. I'm talking everybody is different. Whether it be pre-existing something or, you're a childhood survivor of something rare. There's all kinds of scenarios out there. So do what you want to do. You use your conviction to do whatever you want to do, whatever you think you need to do. But I think we're talking, like, to me, I think she's hitting on a couple of things. She's hitting on, the cause of liberty, which is to be something that I've maintained, that I've stood for, and hypocrisy. And I love how she coined the crinos and rhinos. Crinos, rhinos, who knows what else I knows. I don't know. Let me just hit the button here. Derek C. Williams says, agreed. At this point, it has become a cult. And time will tell if it's a cult of. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I kind of talked about that last weekend. I talked about a culture, like it's a movement, and people don't want to, they don't want to face the music. They don't want to talk about it. They just lulled to sleep, But yeah, I don't know. It's a shame. It's really surprising, And we have what, 3 more years in this? At least 3 more years of one part of the agenda, and then what is it? This is almost 2022. Another 6 years. Everything's on tap for the 2030 agenda. Whether they're talking about emission, carbon footprints, or all of this stuff. And I'm sorry, the slam book mean girl routines are not going to get it. It's not, it's a coping mechanism. You might cope a little bit, but I don't see any politicians doing anything. They're not doing anything. They're making book deals, and that's gonna be their contribution. They're gonna, I got 2 books and 2 book deals, and I got an interview on. I'm gonna be on this show, and so I don't know. I think flaking out sounds to be, it seems to be things are really. Do I have the answers? No, but do I think this is it? Nope. I really don't. Dare I say, for lack of a better phrase, we're a little bit too far gone, and we're just, dare I say, putting our headphones on, or pushing our problems back with carbohydrates. That's what I'm talking about. And Derek C. Williams says the term, quote, fully mocktail, quote, will be redefined as someone with 3. But Derek C. Williams, it's not even possible. I don't even think it's possible to be mocktailed completely. It's not. Because if these people can change it with the sneeze, it can be changed at the drop of a hat. It's not possible. And to me, I could see that from the very beginning. they can't get the 5-day weather forecast right, but now that you're forecasting viruses. Oh, it's coming. It almost makes me feel like Fred Sanford. Oh, Elizabeth, I'm coming to join you. It's the big one. It's the big one. It's the big one. And nobody ever. No, it's like, come on, guys. I'm coming to join you, Elizabeth. I'm coming to join you. And he I don't mean to sneer and jeer at anyone that has suffered, but I do realize that we're not exactly out here promoting people to exercise and get their heart rates up. We haven't exactly had a healthy campaign, a healthy society campaign either. Just saying, just saying. And when they were tricking and treating, they were trying to give you cheap, greasy things, to lull you to sleep. And what you go from essential to being, jab up or leave. What will it be next year? I don't know. I don't make the rules. Okay, Malin Romero says, we have been forewarned that even the elect will be deceived. That's why for me and my house, we will serve the Lord, and that is the one and true living God. Thank you so much, Malin Romero, for coming on and sharing that with us. I appreciate it. Appreciate your strength. And Derek C. Williams says, Fauci did a talk with Mark Zuckerberg where he clearly said mocktails during the pandemic could lead to antibody-dependent enhancements, ADE, when the body attacks itself. Yes, Derek C. Williams, you talked about that before. A cytokine storm. Well, to me, I equate that to autoimmune diseases. I equate that to autoimmune disease. But what I mean, I'm just thinking there's so many things out there already that have not been addressed. There's no cures for any of the current cytokine storms, which to me are autoimmunes. There's so many autoimmunes out there they have no explanation for. I mean, there's like autoimmunes having autoimmunes, I'm just saying. And I like OM Nova says, I only took a single, mandating 3 will be political. Just can't imagine that happening, but I could just be naive. And says, sorry for the ridiculous username. I gathered that you assimilated all of those. You assimilated the letters, the 15th letter of the alphabet on a couple of different things. Joe, thank you, Joe. Oh, Joe. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate it. Maylin says they are under a spell, and I literally pray for the scales to fall from the eyes of all who are deceived, and may they come to find Jesus Christ as their best friend and their savior. She says, in my humble opinion, seek God while he may be found. Time is short. And Derek C. Williams says, quote, the quote best, end quote, route, if you want to say that, is the J&J, but it's confirmed that one is prone to give. Yeah. I honestly, I don't even know. I mean, yeah, I'm a bit of a cynic. Okay, like grassroots. I mean, like baseline cynic. So what I am going to do is thank you guys so much again for tuning in, and I'm going to go ahead and take you to our final liner. As you can see, because I just think at this place, like this, the republic, not their democracy that they talk about all the time, it's crumbling around us. Okay, like I said, it's very fragmented. Like depends on where you are, depends on where you are. And this next story will speak to that. So I'm gonna take a quick little break, and I'll be right back for the final one. And thank you guys so much for coming in. Thank you guys so much again for tuning in on this segment of Black Spring with Autumn. All right, so for our final line today, I guess it was line only. We're gonna go to a liner that comes out of, New York is just it just never stops, okay? Because not only they have an actual a gallery. I meant to cover that story, the gallery in which you can go there and do your illegal drugs. And it seems like they had about 5 ODs on the day that they opened up. So maybe I'll provide that link for you. But they don't stop. Okay, they just will not stop. And what is it? De Blasio's on his way out, and he just keeps on. He just keeps going for the gusto, right? So I'm going to blow this one up. All right. So voting. This is what they want to do with your voting system. It's just. All right, according to this, the New York City Council grants non-citizens right to vote in local elections. Okay, this is from UPI.com. The New York City on Thursday became the largest city in the United States to allow immigrants. And you notice they don't say illegals, which that should be there. Immigrants who are not U.S. citizens. So, okay, you see, words matter. Instead of BLM, why don't they put words matter? English matters, okay? To allow immigrants who are not U.S. citizens to vote in the local elections. The city council voted 33-14 with 2 abstentions to approve the measure, allowing non-citizens to vote in elections for positions such as mayor, city council, comptroller, among others. It does not extend to state or federal elections. The legislation applies to non-citizens with green cards or right to work who have lived in New York City for at least 30 days. Wow, 30 days. You're a freaking expert, right? If you've been there for 30 days, or you have enough memory, you remember enough to make a real impact, allowing them to vote in local elections beginning January 9th, 2023. Approximately 1 million adult non-citizens live in New York City, which would amount to 20% of currently registered voters. Councilman Danis Rodriguez, the bill's primary sponsor, said the law will give more people who live in New York City and pay taxes the right to vote on how the city is run. Quote, people who are looking to get elected to office will now have to spend the same amount of time in the communities affected by this legislation as they do in upper class neighborhoods, end quote, Rodriguez told the New York Times. The New York Mayor Bill de Blasio objected to the legislation, questioning whether the city council has the power to grant voting rights to non-citizens. Well, there you go. There's a transfer of, that's just, they've just cut up everything, just cut up anything that resembled, I don't know, but it's just nothing means nothing. Okay. Mayor-elect Eric Adams said he has supported the rights of green card holders to vote in local elections, but has similarly expressed concerns about the scope of the city council's authority. Republicans said they plan to challenge the measure in court, saying the state constitution says, quote, citizens, end quote, can vote on matters such as taxes, debt, liability, and zoning. And quote, I don't think those things should be decided by foreign citizens, end quote, Republican Councilman Joseph Borelli told the Washington Post. Quote, this is not about a stop sign on their corner, end quote. 14 smaller U.S. jurisdictions allow non-citizens to vote, with many in Maryland and Vermont. San Francisco allows non-citizens to vote on the school board. On the contrary, North Dakota and Arizona formally prevent non-citizens from voting, and Colorado, Florida, and Alabama last year approved ballot measures stating only U.S. citizens can vote. So I'm just saying, it just, the further away, the more this kind of bit goes on. It's just like that. There's just no real. There's nothing preserved. It's just done for. And they're doing it. They're doing it. I don't think, I mean, most people don't even want to send their kids to public schools, but we have to pay the taxes for it. You know, if you send your kid to another institution or it's private or parochial, Montessori or whatever, you still have to pay those taxes. So these people that have been in there a whopping 30 days, have they paid enough taxes to even justify voting on a school board? I think not. Nobody in this country can go anywhere else and do that. You can't go to Mexico and do that. You can't go to Europe and do that in their schools. You cannot. But it seems like we're trying to turn into the superpower. No, we're just being played here is all I can see. All I hear about is these agendas for women, and then the agenda for illegals is all I hear. That's all I ever hear about. That's all. So let me read a couple of comments here. Derek C. Williams says, Americans, you take the jab. If you're an immigrant, you don't have to. The article, yeah, of course. That's a great piece. I'm going to make sure I grab that one. Thank you, Derek C. Williams. Derek C. Williams also says, oops, Americans, you take the mocktail makers know that you can't sue the mocktail for mocktail injuries or deaths that are happening. But the illegals have no worries. Right, exactly. So I'm just saying, like, this is, I don't know. It's just like we're watching a train wreck and we're powerless to stop it. And I just don't think that I have no idea. And that was one of the things that, Bevelin, I'm not sure. I don't think people are ready to leave the status quo. I don't think they're ready to vote for another. They're ready to have another party or any of that stuff. They're just not. They're going to keep doing the same things. That's what I'm convinced that they're going to do. You can create anything you want, grassroots or whatever you want, but it's not going to change. You can't change what these people are actually going to do, what they're committed to, and what they actually believe in. Even if it yields no results, you cannot. You can't. But I applaud her effort and courage to say, hey, something smells fishy. But once again, I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in. So what I'm going to do is thank everyone for coming in. I really appreciate it on your Saturday. Sharonda the Goddess, thank you so much for coming in. And Derek C. Williams, thank you so much for coming in and supporting the channel. Also, if you haven't had a chance to check us out over on the Discord, that is Black Spring Now, #7666. I know. I'm working on it. Thank you so much, Derek C. Williams. I really appreciate it for all your support. And I will be testing some things out over on People's Pendulum. So it's not going to be anything formal. You want to drop in and say hi, even if you want to have a one-on-one conversation, that's absolutely fine with me if I'm testing over on Discord. Or People's Pendulum is what I'm calling it. Joe, thank you so much for coming in. Cyber Toxin, I really appreciate it. Maylen Romero, thank you so much for coming in and sharing with us. And yeah, thank you for that. And who else do we have? Yeah, I really appreciate it. Derek Williams says, I'm going to step aside to handle business. Good bill as always. Well, I really appreciate it, Derek C. Williams. So yeah, but I will see what's going on maybe over on Discord. If you're interested, come over. Yeah, you can show up over there and maybe I can, throw you a link or whatever. All right, guys, have a great rest of your weekend. And yeah, we'll see what comes up for next time. All right, guys, take care.